Well, hello everyone, and good morning. Welcome to Math by Audrey. So we're doing some morning algebra review. So we have like a couple of problems, and then we have a couple of translating some verbal to algebraic, and then we are done for today. Well, the next four problems actually come from one of my books. So we have a box containing 5 red, 8 blue, and 7 white balls. If 2 balls are drawn without replacement, what is the probability both are red? Well, anytime that we're dealing with probability, okay, we're looking at the part, like what we're looking for, over the whole. So the part that we're looking for is the probability that the balls are going to be red. So most people, you'll see it written as this, with a P, parenthesis, and then red. And sometimes they repeat the red like this. But the key part with this is that the balls are going to be drawn without replacement. That's huge. Okay, that's going to be huge. Because if I want to do the probability of red balls, we started off with 5 red, 8 blue, and 7 white. So if I add 5 and 8, that gives me 13, plus 7 gives me 20. So that means we started off with 20 balls. And of them, 5 of them are red. That's for the first drawing. That's the first event. There you go, Liberation. Thank you. But then we have to take up the second event. So now if we didn't replace that ball, that means now we have 19 balls in that. Okay? And now we don't have 5 balls because we didn't replace it. Now we have 4 of them. Okay? So when it comes to when you're dealing with non-replacement and we're looking at the events, this is one mistake a lot of people do. Some people like to add it and they said, okay, what number does 20 and 19 have in common? And they're doing all of this crazy stuff. No. Okay? When you're having 2 separate events without the replacement, you're actually multiplying. Okay? You're actually going to be multiplying them. So now we can go multiplying either straight across, or we can see if we can do some cross simplifying and then take it from there. Either way, it works for everybody. So if you want to multiply straight across, you got your 5 times 4, which gives me my 20. And then my 20 times 19, that gives me 38 with a 0 at the end. Because 19 times 2 gives me 38. So now, I notice that they both end in zeros. Cancel here, cancel there. So now you have 2 over 38. Now, 2 and 38 are both even numbers. So instead of looking at them at the large numbers, you can actually eliminate the zeros, and you'll get the same answer. So I know if I divide my numerator and the denominator by what they have in common, since they're both even numbers, by 2, I will get my answer of 1 over 19. Okay, so your answer choice is going to be A. Okay, hi Brad, how are you? Now, if you wanted to do what's called cross simplify, what we have right here is that 4 and that 20. They can simplify. What do they have in common? They have 4 in common. So if I go 4 divided by 4, that gives me 1. 20 divided by 4, that gives me 5. Then I have 5 over 5 here, that gives me a 1. And then I have a 1 over 19 here. So 1 times anything will give you your solution. Okay? All right? So this is why we have all of this. Okay? So what you do is you add the number of balls. That's where the 20 came from. Because when you do probability, it's what you're looking for over the whole, the part over the whole. They want us to get the probability that both of the balls were going to be red, but here's that key part, without replacement. So now we add the 5, the 8, and the 7 together. That's where the 20 came from. And how many of them were red? 5 of them. So then we didn't replace that ball back into the mix. So that means inside that box, now we got 19 balls, not 20. Okay? Because we didn't replace it. So now we don't have 5 red balls anymore because we didn't replace it. So that means we have 4. So from here, you could have done one of two things. You could have probably reduced 5/20ths to give me 1/4, and then you can simplify the 4s. Or you can multiply straight across and then reduce and try to simplify that way. Okay? Or you can cross simplify. All right? So that's how we got our A. Okay? So for 26, we have the average of 4 test scores is 85. What score is needed on the 5th test to bring the average of 88? Now the one thing about this one, every time we see average meaning mean. Okay? And this is when a lot of people get mean and median mixed up. So when you're doing the mean, you're going to add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers that are in that data set. But this time, they already did that for us. So they said that the mean, or the average of the 4 test scores, is 85. So now, we're going to have to figure out, kind of like undoing, so we can figure out how we can get that 5th test score. So one of the things, since they're talking about the 4 test scores had a mean of 85, so why not take that 85 and multiply it by 4? Because in order for us to get the mean, we would normally divide. So we're undoing. So we can figure out what is the sum of those 4 test scores. So when I do it in reverse, so 5 and 4 is 20, carry the 2, 8 and 4 is 32 plus that 2, that gives you 340. So this was the sum of those 4 test scores. So now they're saying what score is needed on the 5th test to bring the average to an 88. Well, that means if I have my average, they already gave me the average of when the 5th test score is in there. So we're going to do this again. We're going to take our 88 and we're going to multiply that by 5. So we can get the average. So 5 times 8 gives me 40, carry the 4. 5 times 8 gives me 40 plus the 4. So we're looking at 440. So now we have the 2 averages. We want to know what is that 5th test score. So we're going to subtract those 2. Exactly. So we got our 440 minus our 340. That gives me the 100. So that person needs 100 in order to bring that average of an 88 with that 5th test score being there. Okay? Alright, sorry right there. Okay? So as I said, for people that are coming in, these are some of the questions that I have in my practice test. Okay, this one's I came from the practice test from the ASVAB. But these are the same type of questions that you will probably see in the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, the HESI test, anything that has algebra in it. Okay? So let's try another one. Okay, so I'm going to let you try this one. 27. What do you think the answer for 27 will be? Okay, thank you so much for the follows and the shares and the likes and everything. I appreciate it. Okay, I come on here to help you. Not to harm, not to throw people off, but to really get to understand, because school's starting. Okay, school's starting. Okay, Malik, give it a try. If you don't know what it is, put a question mark. Okay, if you don't know what it is, put a question mark. Because school's right around the corner. Parents, you're going to start seeing stuff coming home that you haven't seen when you were a kid, and if you did see it when you were a kid. So I just kind of come here to kind of give you grace, courage, and greatness. All right. Okay. All right, so we got 4s, we got some B's, got some B's, we got some 4s, got some 2s. Currently, okay, I got you. Some B's, got some C's, got some 2s, got some B's. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so we have a decision between A or B. That's what I've seen here. So, if we take a look, we have 2 to the 3rd power times, I know, we're going to work on that, 2 to the 4th power over 2 to the 5th power. Now, we could translate this and put it as like, all right, what's 2 to the 3rd power? That's 8. We could do all that. Or we could use the rules or the properties of exponents. They all have the same base. So what I could do is take this 2 to the 3rd power times 2 to the 4th power. Let me work on that numerator. When you're multiplying and they have the same base, which is the 2's, we add the exponents. So you're actually going to have 2 raised to the 3 plus 4. Well, we know that 3 plus 4, that gives me 7. Right? And this answer of 2 to the 7th is over 2 to the 5th. So this was dealing with the multiplication, you add the exponents. Now over here, when you divide, you subtract the exponents. So that means you actually have 2 raised to the 7 minus the 5th. And that will give you 2 squared. So now it's more manageable, right? So 2 squared, that's the same as saying 2 times 2. That's where everyone was getting the 4. Okay? So instead of translating it to what? Was it 2 times 2 is 16? So then you have 8 times 16. And then you're making the numbers way bigger. But understanding, hey, I have the same base up here. When I'm multiplying, I add the exponents. That's where the 7 came from. And when I'm dividing, I subtract the exponents. That's where this 2 came from, right? So Tatiana, then you're going to have to divide that. Bringing back all the memories. There we go. All right. So this is how we got our answer of 4. So now, sliding over. Okay. So what is the value of x if the mean of 4, 8, 12, and x is 10? So what would be the value of x? So it's another mean question. So let's see what you guys can come up with. Repeat the last part one more time. What do you mean the last part? What, 2 to the 2nd power? That's 2 times 2. What does it mean, the value? So it's like what number? Because right now, x can be any number. It could be a positive number, it could be a negative number, it could be a fraction, it could be a decimal. So like, what is that value? Okay. All right. So MJ, I see you. Cat, I see you. SW, Cody, Stone, Donwell. Okay, growing everything. LN is Smiley. Okay, Brenda, Tatiana. Okay, Niagara Falls. All right. Okay, Pretty Queen. Now, if you're not sure what it is, okay, also put question marks. Okay. All right, Cal, Woo, I see you. Okay, Sweet Mixin, I see you. The Fuzz, I see you as well. Zach, thank you so much for your honesty. Okay. It's Danny G, thank you. All over again, that's okay, Mike. Hey, if I'm here to help, I'm here to help. Okay. Amino, I see you. Daddy, I see you. Andrew, I see you. Okay, you're trying. Hey, Mitzi, I appreciate you. Okay. Now, let's take a look. So when they have that word mean, that means we're looking at the average. So that means we don't have to put numbers in order. That means we need to add them. So we got 4 plus our 8 plus our 12 plus our x. Okay? So they're saying they want the mean of this, and they said the mean is equal to 10. But when we do our mean, we divide by how many numbers we're dealing with. Even with the x, that's going to be a 4. Okay? So now, let's add up. So we have 4 plus 8, that gives me 12. Plus 12, that gives me 24. So we have 24 plus the x over 4 is equal to 10. Alright? So now this is when I cover up so we can focus on one thing at a time. So over here, we have addition, but we have division. In order for us to get x by itself, because that's the goal, we need to get out of this division. So we have to do the inverse. Okay? Some people will be like, okay, once I get here, I could do a plug-in to see which one will fit in for x. So if I plug a 10 in, that'll give me 34. So 34 divided by 4 is not going to give me 10. You see how we can actually do it this way? Okay, if I take my 14 and I plug it in for the x, I'll get what? 38? No. 14, 8. Yeah, 38 divided by 4. Is that going to give me 10? No, that's going to give me a decimal. If I plug 16 in, okay, so that will give me, excuse me, 40. And 40 divided by 4, that gives me 10. So we can do it that way. That's one way of doing it. But knowing the setup helped us to kind of narrow it down to plug it in that way. Okay? So another way will be doing the multiplication, which means I need to multiply both sides by 4. Reason why 4 divided by 4 will give me 1. And anything times 1 will simply give me my numerator. But this time it's going to equal 40. And if I have a positive 24, I have to do the inverse, which is minus 24. Not minusing the 40, because if I'm minusing the 40 and bringing everything over to the left-hand side, there's nothing here on the right-hand side. Okay? So then you have your negative 24. Okay? Alright. So then you have your x is equal to Borrow from the 4 to make it to 3. 10 minus 4 gives me 6. 3 minus 2 gives me 1. Okay. All right. Why negative 24? Because you have to subtract. You have to do the opposite in order for them to cancel out. Because 24 minus 24 will give me 0. I don't need to bring the 0 down because 0 is a placeholder. I still have this plus x that needs to come down. All right? So that's why you always want to do the opposite, the inverse, in order for you to get your x isolated. Okay? Yep, you can do that as well. All right? But remember, when you do the whole substituting and using your answer choices, which is a choice, that's one way you can do it. But remember, you're given 1 minute to do each of your problems. If you're taking the ASVAB, you have 1 minute to do each of the problems. If you're taking your GED, you have 1 minute and 10 seconds per problem. So sometimes a lot of you guys are like, oh, okay, I got 5 minutes, and then you run out of time. And then you're like, shoot, I didn't get a chance to do it. Yeah, because you can't keep practicing. Let me spend 5-10 minutes per problem. Okay? So that's the thing. So even though you, as you're first learning it, you want to take it step by step till you get used to it. But this is why I have a lot of these, this is why I did all my little practice books. Because you need to practice the way that you're going to test. Okay? So, I think we had some median stuff. So what I did was I basically took a lot of the concepts that you're going to see and I made them into quizzes. So literally, okay, I have this one that has like 40 questions. So if anything, you set a timer for 40 minutes and you sit down and you do the whole test. No disruption, no anything. Okay, you do the whole test and then you check your answers at the end. Same thing with quiz number 2, same thing with quiz number 3. And then I put a little bonus quiz in there. Okay? Okay, that was yesterday's. And proof that here's the original. And this is what we just worked on today. Okay? So you can get the practice book, just the book itself, for $12.99. But then there's one that you can get this and get the video library of me breaking down each and every one of these questions. So now you got the support, not just like, oh, the answer is B. Well, how did you get B? Now you can watch the video that can kind of get you connected with that. Okay? All of that. You want to take the GRE? Yep, this works for you as well. Okay, so this book, even though I said as ASVAB math practice, it works great for the GED as well as ASVAB, GRE, and anything that has to do with algebra. So if you click the link in my bio, you just have to scroll down. Well, here's another free math checkup. So like if you want to take a look at, hey, where am I math-wise, all you have to do is just give me your email, and then boom, you got all that. Then here's all my individual books. If you know that you need step-by-step equations, you need a whole lot of practice, but then here we come. Okay, sorry. So it's like a $15.99. So sorry. So with the practice book, this is without the video library, but this is with the video library. Okay. Alright. So this is how you can go and you can get everything. Alright. So I got 2 more questions to do. Then we are done for today. Alright. So if you want to, go ahead and check on that right now. The link is right in my profile. And we're going to do this. Translate that. No Calc 3. No, I do not do Calc 3. Okay, so go ahead and put it in the chat. Okay. All right, so Ellen, I see you. Okay, and if you're not sure how to translate it, put a question mark. Okay. Okay, Kelly, I see you. John, thank you for your honesty. It's Weasel, thank you for your honesty. User 009, thank you for your honesty. Okay, Mitzi, I see you. John, I see you. A different John. All right, let's try one more. All right, so I know what's causing the confusion. Okay, so all we're doing is translating. Okay, quotient. Quotient means division. Okay, the quotient of, anytime they say the quotient of, or the product of, or the sum of, or the difference of, that means you're doing that operation of two numbers. So what is it? A number and 8. So we are dividing a number and 8. We don't know what this number is. So we can use our variable. You can use x, you can use n, but we're definitely using a fraction. Okay? So the key part of this is knowing what is quotient and what does it mean. Okay, so it means division. But now let's do an extension. So I have 4 cards here, and you get to pick 1, 2, 3, or 4 that we're going to add on to our lovely expression. Okay. Okay. So we got 3s or 3s, 3s. Okay. So Jace, the reason why, we don't know. Okay. It could be they weren't in school. It could be they traveled around when they were kids. It could be they had multiple teachers the year that this was happened. It could be COVID, or maybe they were not privileged enough to be at a school that supported their students. So that's what we need. Okay. All right. So 3 seems to be the one. All right. So what our extension is equals negative 64. Okay. Okay, no shade. Okay. All right. If you don't use it, you lose it. True. Okay. So equals negative 64. Okay, what does that look like? Okay. Equals negative 64. Okay. Yes, we're going to have to write an equation. There you go, Miss Watson. There you go, Miss Weasel. All right. Okay. So username, thank you. Ellen, try again. Just that part. Okay. All right. All right. Yes. So that's all we have to do. Equals is an equal sign. Negative, negative, and 64. All right. So now, good morning, Keisha. How are you? So now, let's go ahead and solve. Oh, okay. I see what you were doing before. Sorry. So, now we're going ahead to solve. So that's what we do. We have this fraction. x over 8 equals negative 64. So in order for us to get x by itself, we have to do the inverse, or the opposite of this operation. This is division. So the inverse, or the opposite of division, is multiplication. So you're basically going to be multiplying 8 on both sides. So you have your 8 and you have your 8. So 8 divided by 8 gives me 1x, or just x. You don't have to put the 1 in front of the x. It's always assumed to be there because there's physically 1x right there. Okay? So now we have to do a negative times a positive. So when the signs are opposite, when you're multiplying or dividing, your answer is always going to be negative. Okay? So now we multiply. 8 times the 4 gives you 32. So take the 2, carry the 3. 8 times the 6 gives you 48, plus the 3 gives you the 51. Yes, you did. Thank you. Alright, so x equals negative 520. Okay. Alright, beautiful thing. So, one more, then we're done for today. Let's stick with that. Translate that. Translate that. Alright. Okay. Something missing. Alright. Okay. So, let me get this. So, we got the quotient of. Quotient of what? What are the two things? One of them, a number, and 4 less than 7. So here's the thing. Less than, just less than, that's subtraction, not an inequality. If it said is less than, that's an inequality. It just says less than. So all these less than symbols need to go away. So now we have to think. We need the quotient of a number and 4. That's the first part. Okay? So the quotient of a number and 4. So quotient we know is division. So we are dividing what? A number and 4. So that's going to be our fraction. So I'm going to say n for my number and 4. Okay? Now the second part, they're saying this, the quotient of a number and 4, is less than 7. So that means my n over 4 has to carry the minus sign because that's going to be less than 7. So it's actually going to be 7 minus n over 4. Okay, or x over 4. Okay. All right. So quotient is going to be your division. Less than is subtraction. If it said is less than, that's an equality. If it says is more than, is greater than, those are inequalities. Okay. So you have your quotient of a number and 4. So I'm just using n for the number over 4. but less than. So this part is less than 7. So that means my quotient of a number in 4 has to carry the minus sign, the negative. Okay? All right? Okay, so it's basically algebra. Okay, that's okay. All right, so this is basically algebra. So now, let's do an extension. We got 3 cards, 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you want to do? Makes sense, okay. 1, 2, or 3. So I got a 1, I got a 2. Okay, so I got 2. All right, yes, there's going to be a whole list, and I'll show you in a second. All right, still got ties between 1 and 2s. And I think Keisha just broke it. Okay, so going with number 2. Let's see what we got. Okay, is at least -3. Is at least -3. So this I'm going to add on to what we have. Is at least -3. How would I write that? Is at least -3. How would I write that? John, I see you. At least, yup. Think about what at least would look like. Would I multiply? There is going to be multiplication happening. Okay. Ellen, I see you. Okay. Is it Magria? I know I probably butchered it, and I do apologize. Please let me know. Okay. Okay. So you're not overstepping, but you're skipping a major step before you do Miss Wessel. Okay. So it's not going to be equals user 009. Myra. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Okay. All right. So now, is at least. Think about it. I want to make at least $100 today. Like say you're selling, I don't know, some kind of products. And you're saying, I want to make at least $100 today. So your day is not completely shot down if you make $100 or more. So at least is always greater than or equal to. So if I make my 100, that's still good. But if I made $200 or $500, hey, that means my day was a really good day. So I need to do at least, okay? Before I go to bed, I need to at least wash the dishes. If you wash the dishes and decide to vacuum, maybe do a little bit of laundry, hey, you did more than what you're supposed to do for today, okay? So at least is going to be greater than or equal to. So the at least, you always think opposite. So when they say least, it's going to be greater than. When they say at most, it'll be less than, but it's always equal to. Equal to what? -3. So now, let's get to solving. So we want to get n by itself. So we are not starting with the 4. We need to isolate this first. So in order for me to isolate this, I need to get rid of the 7. Now this is a thing that a lot of people mix up. I want to say a good 75% of my students do this. They would say, oh, here's a 7. Oh, there's a minus sign. So that means this is a -7. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. No. Because once we start going into solving, This minus sign is a negative for the n over 4, not the 7. Signage is always in front or to the left of the number. So this is a positive 7. So what we're going to do in order to move it to the other side of the inequality is we're going to subtract. So 7 minus 7 gives me a 0. I don't need that 0 as a placeholder. So what comes down, and this is a huge mistake a lot of people generally do, is they bring down the n to the 4th perfectly fine, but they forget to bring down its negative. Okay? Now, we have -3 plus -7. So since they're both negative and we're combining them, your answer stays negative, and this will give you a -10. Now, the difference between equations and inequalities is that we're looking for true statements. So the direction of the sign is important. We just subtract by 7. So does my inequality change or stay the same? Okay, Tatiana saying changes. Okay, and if you're not sure, put a question mark. Okay, change, stay the same, stay the same, stay at the same, and question mark, thank you. Okay, thank you for your honesty. Stays the same. Okay, so your inequality is going to stay exactly the same. Here's why. Because we subtracted the 7. The only time your inequality changes direction is when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Not because you got a negative answer, only when you multiply or divide by a negative number. So this inequality is staying the same, because what did we do to get to this point? We subtracted 7. Okay? No, you don't have to hush. No, please don't. So now, let me cover up so we can focus on this. So we need to get n by itself. So Miss Weasel, this is when you do that. Okay, this is when you do your multiplying. But what are we going to multiply on both sides? Yeah, it's a learning environment. Come on. What are we multiplying on both sides so we can get n by itself? Okay, John saying a positive 4. Okay. All right. Illuminite's saying -4. Mitzi's saying 4. Okay. So we got our 4, we got our 4, we got our 4. Okay, Jackson, I see you with 4. Misty, I see you with 4. Tatiana, I see you with 4. Okay. Myra, I see you with 4. All right. Why not, and I hate this phrase, but we're going to try it. Smiles, I see you. Why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Yes, the denominator is a 4. But remember, we got this negative right here. Why not make it into a -4 so you can get 2 things done at once? So 4 divided by 4, that will give us our 1. And then we have a negative times a negative. That gives us a positive. So now over here, we have a -10 times a -4. A negative times a negative gives me, there you go, Mitzi, that gives me a positive 40. And since we, okay, that's okay, relax. Okay, there you go. So now, since we multiplied both sides by a -4, the direction of my inequality is going to change. So that means any number that's less than or equal to 40 is going to give this original a true statement. Okay. All right. So it's going to give us a true statement. If you want to try it out, we can. The easiest number that's going to be less than or equal to 40 is 0. So 0 divided by 4 will give me 0. And 0 is neither positive or negative. So that means what's left on this left-hand side is going to be a 7. And what's left on the right-hand side is a negative 3. Is 7 greater than or equal to negative 3? Yes, it is. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. So again, if you like to get more questions like this, if you like to get my cards that I actually designed here, all these cards, even with the extensions, I have them all on sale. Okay. So everything, and if you have, because I know some of you guys saying, oh, I need a tutor, I would love to have a tutor, but sometimes you may not even need a tutor. You might just need someone to tweak your thinking. So make sure you follow me, which some of you guys have, which is great. Thank you. And then also when you see right here where it says Stand Store Math by Audrey, if you click on that link, and if you want, you can get your free math checkup. Okay. So all you have to do is click on the link, put in your email, it comes directly to you to the email that you send. Then try to work it out. There's 15 questions. Those 15 questions will be basically similar to the questions that you're going to see in the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer TEAS test. And it kind of shows you like where you're at. And if you want me to kind of walk you through some of the answers, go ahead, take a picture of your work and just send it to me. Send it to my DMs. Okay? If you want to say, Audrey, I want to take this test and I don't know, if you want to have a small chat, just go ahead and DM me. Don't just say hi because I'm going to delete it. Okay? Tell me what test you're taking. Tell me when are you planning on taking the test? Okay? What is your plan? What have you been using? You know, just regular conversation. Then, again, if you scroll down, these are the individual books. If you keep going all the way down even further, you will actually see the practice pages. Okay? So the ones that I took from today is from the ASVAB math practice. So I can get it more like arithmetic type of reasoning questions that you see in the test. But it's the same type of questions you'll see on the GED. All they did was they went from your staff sergeant is doing this to Millie is doing this. That's basically it. But if you want the video solutions that goes with it, okay, again, you can give me, I can like go step by step with that. Do I tutor for the SAT? Yes, I do. Okay. All right. Lessons on truth tables. I haven't done truth tables in a while, but if anything, if you give me an example, I can show you. All right. Now, the other thing, if you missed the whole entire thing and you're like, oh, Audrey, can I get the replay of this? Yes, you can. Again, if you go to Stand Store, come right here to my YT channel. All right. Go ahead and subscribe in there if you like. And I'll show you step by step right here, TikTok Lives. So this is the one from yesterday. Okay. The day before yesterday, for some reason, does not want to load, but that's okay. But it gives you like all of the replays of all the lives. Okay. And I do not do calculus. Sorry. And sometimes it's not the calculus that throws you off. It's the algebra. Okay, and that's what's kind of hurting a lot of people, because I don't know what the reasoning are, but I've noticed based off of my lovely experience, as soon as I can find my little tree. Oh, here it is. This is basically what's happening to a lot of us. Okay, we get the whole math foundations. So our adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, fractions, decimals, percents. If we don't get a good handle on multiplication, because that's fast addition, you're going to have trouble with fractions, you're going to have trouble with decimals, percents, as well as division. Okay, because division is basically the inverse of multiplication. So we really need to get to know, especially up to the 12 times table. Then, as we build up these foundations, then you will get stronger with your algebra. Okay, and that's the whole thing. Once we get stronger with the algebra, then you can go into the other branches of mathematics. But here's the thing. We're all trying to test outside of these other branches, but our algebra wasn't strong. It's either we were playing around in class, we just barely passed it. I mean, there's some schools, like after the pandemic, when everyone was coming back into school, there was a lot of people that were in AP classes, and they're like, dude, I didn't even pass algebra. How am I in an AP pre-calc class? That's crazy. Okay? All right? So, since we're doing a lot of those things, now, just because right now you're not very strong with this doesn't mean that it's too late. Okay, you definitely can transport somewhere where you're going to get the nutrients, where you're going to get the support, where you're going to get the sun. So this is one thing. Just wasn't for me, like this teaching. Yeah, because we all learn differently. Okay, we all learn differently. So this is why when you get to the basics of like, this is how I know how to do it, and everyone teaches it the way that they understand it and not give options, yeah, that's how it gets crazy. Okay. Right. Okay. And especially having someone to kind of support you with that. So this is why I do this. So again, I know a lot of you guys are like, yeah, it'll be really cool to get some of these problems, but if you understand it, and especially I think someone said that I don't really understand like the factors. That's why sometimes in my math notebooks I have what's called factor charts. So I put all that inside of it. Okay? So you can get all the support that you need. Okay? Well, thank you. So if anything, just go ahead. You can go to the stand store. Here's another thing that we worked on today. What are the most popular words for what operation? So someone said they wanted to make a list. I already did it for you. Okay, I forgot who said it earlier. All right, so what are the words that represent addition? What are the words that represent subtraction, multiplication, division, equals, and inequalities? Okay, all right. Okay, so if you have all that, plus like the rules of integers, if you're interested and you're just like, ooh, I want to learn more about it, go ahead, message me. Okay? So just go ahead and message me and we'll take it from there. All right, everyone. So I am going to wrap up. I will see you sometime tomorrow morning because it all depends on my tutoring schedule. But I will definitely reach out. So if you guys need any assistance, you can follow me. I'll see you in the morning. Or if you have a question, please go ahead and ask, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to ask your questions. All right. Have a good one, everyone, and take care. Keep being awesome.